The title of this presentation is called No Child Left Behind. It's an emphasis on developing teen and young adult ministries. And I start off with that because I'm trying to go to the next screen. Come on, next screen. Come on, next screen. He was acting all right a minute ago. Come on, baby. Presentation mode. I thought I did, but let's try it again. Presentation mode. Thank you all for being patient. Is Quinta back with me? Okay, let's go here to presentation mode. Thought we had it up here. See, this is the devil because this PowerPoint is, I'm really excited about this PowerPoint. Okay, can you all see that? So now, let me go back here. Oh. Double tap the presentation to enlarge it, okay? Is that better? Is that better? Okay, so it's blank, yes. I don't want to show you a blank window. Yes, it's better, okay. So I ask the question who, as in, if we're doing building youth ministry in particular, the question really becomes who is our demographic? And I was in a workshop earlier where the presenter was talking about the tweens, and that's that 10 to 12, somewhere in there. And I deal with a different group. And if you can see that screen, teens and young adults. And teens and young adults, because nursery age, we'll have a nursery, we'll have something for the smaller kids, we'll have them as candle lighters, we'll have an elementary age, Sunday school, different activities for that age. And then when the kids hit the middle school age, we don't have a lot for them. And the middle school age, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and then we'll go from there. The next question we ask is, where are the high schoolers? And then right after the high schoolers, they're off to college, they're young adults. And one of the problems that I have with some of the way we set up our youth ministries in church is we often set our young adult ministries, we set them up to like 18 to 35. We set up our youth 12 to 17. And you have to divide those groups because they have very different needs, very different demographic, very different needs. So the 12 to 14, the middle schoolers, the junior high schoolers, when my nieces and nephews were that age, I called them Harry and Hannah hormone, because they're just full of hormones, bouncing off the walls. You know, they're playful, they're hitting each other. You're trying to have a group session, and you got to say, stop, don't pull her hair, put that down, sit down. What are you doing? And you're trying to give a continuous lesson or have a discussion. And it's hard to do it because they're full of hormones, Harry and Hannah hormone. They're playful, they have a short attention span. And so usually for this group, usually the only thing that a lot of us will offer is like a Sunday school class. And we have a hard time with it because of all of those issues. With the middle school agers, which now that I'm in my mid-50s, I'm becoming very clear that I'm getting too old for the middle schoolers. This group has to be very active. You have to have activities. They have to be active, they have to move, they have to touch, they have to do things. It's not a just sitting and listening and talking group. So you say to me, okay, Reverend Ward, then how? How do we do that? Well, part of that group and the older group is you got to have activities. No matter what, you have to have activities. So here are some of the activities that I suggest for both groups. Snow trips. Now we live about 3.5 hours of snow. So snow is a big thing for our kids. A lot of you live in snow areas, so you know you don't want to see any snow. We have interactive museums. You got to go where they can touch things, not where they can just see, and then there's a docent who's telling them information. They get bored like that. So that doesn't work for them. You want to have other churches that you interact with that have the same age groups, because it's really good for kids to meet other kids and interact with their peers. And one of the things that we have a lot of fun doing is sporting events. We tailgate at the baseball game. Now, you know, these kids could care less about baseball, but we tailgate, we barbecue, they bring their skateboards, their skates, and that's a lot of getting them off of this, you know, put the phone down, put the game down, and let's interact and let's have some fun. So they love the tailgating piece of it. Love to eat. Now that's the other thing. So you always want to do food, sporting events, and then of course amusement parks. And the amusement parks, you don't get to do a lot of interacting because everybody's, you know, having fun, and we keep them in groups. But the sporting events piece is they get to see us on a relaxed, fun side. You know, we have a thing here where I'm able to get a skybox. Most of our kids will rarely even be able to sit in a skybox. So that's a real treat. We get a skybox, and I think we can do about 30 people, maybe a little bit more in the skybox. And so we bring food. They allow us to bring in food. Other than that, we order up all that old expensive food, you know, at the Coliseum, and they just love it. And so it's like their little world. They're not paying a lot of attention to the game, but they are together and they're having a good time. And yet when they hear everybody stand up and cheer because somebody won, oh man, they're standing up cheering. They don't even know why they're cheering. So that's a real fun activity for them. So I say there are 4 things that you have to have for your youth and your college age. You got to have activities. You got to have, you see the next word, academics. You have to have acknowledgement. I'll talk about that in a minute. And you have to have accessibility. And if you put these things together, you don't have to worry about kids coming to Sunday school and singing in a choir and doing other things, because you have these things which draw in, like a gentleman was talking. So this is your bait that brings them in. And when you bring them in, then you can do the spiritual work and the spiritual practice. So activities, academics, acknowledgement, and accessibility. This was one of our snow trips, and the kids did snow tubing. That's the tube she's sitting in, and they went up and down that hill, up and down that hill. I myself, I was in the lodge the whole day drinking coffee and hot cocoa. Amen. Because I'm too old and too big to be on the slide rolling down the hill. Amen. Know your gifts. Know where you fit in. Are y'all with me? Let me know that you're with me. This was our 2017 annual snow trip, and we took, I think there were 37 of us on this trip, and we joined in with a number of, I joined us in with some a community group and a group of kids from a housing project, because that's the other thing, is your ministry is not just right there in the church. That if you're going to grow your youth and young adult ministry, you got to go outside the four walls. Because what happens for us in our churches is that, you know, kids come and then they're there because their parents, you know, they got to come with the parents. Then they get a little bit older and they don't want to get out the bed, and the parents are tired of fighting with them. And so they just let them stay. And so you start to lose when they get older, they don't come. So you've got to have these things in place. And what also happens is when you have it in place and then you reach to outside groups, like this was a housing project and a youth organization, they got a chance to intermingle with other kids. And then those kids want to come to the church because they realize that we have something for them. We have a space and a place for them. So this was one of our biggest trips. We had a ball. We were on a bus, and we made the kids sit next to somebody they had to learn 3 things about them, and they had to tell those things about them. And so it was really interesting for them. Activities. This is what we do, especially for the older kids. And I want to talk about this for a second around your demographic and your population. A lot of these kids right here are foster kids. So the other groups that you can reach out to grow your youth group are kids who really desperately need us. And these are groups, kids in group homes, kids from the foster care agency. And so this was an outdoor activity, which we do a lot of outdoor activities, especially during the summer. And this is life-size chess game, as you can see right here. It's a life-size chess game. This is the beanbag toss. Over here, we had a DJ. And then what you can't see on the side here is we had a food truck. And if I tell you those kids had a ball, and then we also had the game truck. And that's what I meant about the interactive piece. With the game truck, kids could come and go inside the game truck and play the video games. They had the music, they had the food, and they absolutely had a ball. And we did it for about 4 or 5 hours on an afternoon. And they will bring their friends. And one thing I've always learned, especially as being a pastor, if you start out by providing something, providing a space and a place for them, will turn around and bring your friends. I've experienced is and this is part of the acknowledgement piece, especially the high schoolers, is if you could have what we call a Friday night hangout, which means every Friday night they come to the church and we have food for them. And then we sit around and we dialogue about topics that are specifically related to them. You'll start out with 4 or 5 kids, and in a month or two, you'll have 35, 40 on a Friday night, because it gives them a place to go. It gives them a sense of belonging. It gives them a sense of community, and it gives them something to do. And the acknowledgement piece is I'm being heard. And that's what happens around the high school and the college age group. They need to be heard. The other thing that we've done with them, and this is really important, especially if you want that younger group to sit down somewhere, you got to get them, not just activity, but activism. So what we did here was we did a GoFundMe, and we raised money for one of the local school libraries. One of the librarians goes to the church and was saying that they didn't have any money in the budget for new books. So the kids raised money on the GoFundMe. They text folks, they ask their grandparents, they ask people in the church to donate to the GoFundMe. And we raised about $2,500, and they bought new books for the library. The other activism piece, as you know, is so incredibly relevant, and it started around the George Floyd marches and protests. And so this is one of our kids who was at one of the protests. And one of the protests that we did that was so incredible, 2 19-year-olds organized the protest, and they marched from the high school to City Hall. Now, I didn't march. I got in my car and I became an official car. And so I was behind the big sound truck with the DJ on it and the music on it. And that was quite interesting. I thought I was doing something because I turned on music. I turned on Marvin Gaye, brother, what's going on? And then the next thing, the DJ turned the music up from the truck, and it was Fight the Power, and NWA and Blank the Police. And I said, oh, all right, that's what we're doing. Okay. But it spoke their language. And so by the time we got to City Hall and I got up to speak, there were more people as far as your eye could see. And I've never spoken to that many people. And the media guesstimates that there were probably about 15,000 people out there. And I said to a friend of mine, I think we're the oldest people out here because it was nothing but young folks. But the activism piece was very important because it keeps the kids involved in what's going on every day. It got them talking a lot about it. We had a lot of group sessions about it, talking about their feelings and thoughts. And it really blew me away, the discussion pieces around it for them. So activism, activity, and activism. With the activism piece too, we also got the parents involved. So this is a mother and son. She looked like one of the kids, but that's the mother and son, and they're out protesting. So that was really good. And then the same thing with the books. Here are some more of the books we raised money for the library. It got the parents involved. They went to work and asked people to donate for their for the GoFundMe. So we've done that twice for the library. This is the march I was telling you about. It says thousands stomped through Oakland streets demanding police reform. And this was nothing but young folks, nothing but young folks. And we got right to the corner where it was a park and there's a Kaiser hospital. And by the time we got to where Kaiser was, there were all kinds of first responders, doctors, nurses, people in lab coats standing outside cheering us on. That was a moment, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. But it showed the kids some support. This is them marching again. Let me see if I can get you some sound on here. We have nothing to lose. Can you all hear it?
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Woo!
So there were cars and individuals on bikes, individuals walking.
You didn't just come right in time or what? Right in time. What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Now! George Floyd! Say his name! Yes!
And those are my kids.
Name. We have nothing to lose.
I hope you guys are able to hear that. Let's go to the next one. Let's go back. So activism and then academics. Give me a 1 or 2 or something if you all still with me. You know, as a preacher, it's hard when you don't get call and response. Are you all with me? There we go. All right. So one of the things that has been very helpful to us, and you get a lot of kids who are unchurched, and it's a beautiful, beautiful tool for evangelism and building your youth ministry, is when you provide a Saturday school. Either you do it every week, you do it bi-weekly, or you do it monthly. But again, it's a place of belonging, and then we are addressing our kids' own academic needs. Instead of complaining about what they're not getting in the school system, we're making sure that they get it. Our summer camps have been really, really good, because people are looking for places where their kids can be. They don't want them in the house all day long on the TV or on the video game. So what we've done with the summer camps is what we call the 3 R's, well, what they used to call the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. In the mornings, we have math and English. We give them a hot breakfast. We have math and English, and we hire teachers who are off for the summer. And then we also hire college students to tutor. And then we serve them a hot lunch, because what we were realizing was that a lot of the kids rarely get a hot meal. And they just love the hot lunch. You know, they'd finish the hot lunch and say, "What are we having tomorrow?" So that meal is important. And we sit around as a group having that hot meal, and we talk. So we eat together. And that's something that you don't see happening in a lot of homes anymore. We have alternatives. So we did golf, and we connected with the recreation department here in the city, and we were able to provide free golf lessons to the kids. They had their shirts, And every day when they got there, they got clubs to play with, and the kids loved going to the golf course. Um, and then we always have a weekly field trip, and we usually try to do things that are local to our area. For example, we're in Oakland, and a lot of our kids have never been to San Francisco. So we make sure that we do things like that, not just learning trips, but just, to show them something different. Um, and I'll never forget, we were crossing the bridge, and one young lady said, Pastor Cheryl, what is this? And I said, what is what? She said, this. Talking about, she said, this thing we're on. I said, the bridge? And she said, oh yeah, is that what this is? And my heart just went out to her, because the baby had never crossed the bridge between Oakland and San Francisco and didn't even know what it was. So it's a lot that takes place for them when you get them out of their immediate geographical location. This was our summer camp. Of course, we didn't get to do it this year because of COVID, but that's one of the older ones helping the younger ones with golf. And this was one of our college students who was helping with some of the teaching. This young lady right here is has now completed a master's degree, and we gave her first job. These are some of the middle schoolers, and a couple of them going to high school, and we had them doing a lot of role play, and they had to put the play together themselves and then act it out. And this young man here has just graduated high school. This young lady has just graduated college. We went bowling several times during our summer camp. And as you see, the younger ones here and the high school and college age helping with the younger ones. There's the younger ones. That's in San Francisco. And it was a great trip for all of them. So I said the next thing that they need is assistance. And so I want to tell you about some of our kids. This young man here, he had physical growth issues with his bones, so he was small. But he won we gave golf lessons, and he actually was one of the kids who did the best, and he won a set of golf clubs. He was really happy about it, and he's carrying it on his back. What I want to tell you about this young man, Eddie was his name. He got killed last year with a group of kids. Don't know exactly what was going on, but it was in what is alleged to be a police chase, and they were in an accident, and he died. And he was started as a young boy in our group. This young man here, he was probably here about 15, but he lost his mom when he was 7. And so we nurtured him. We became the moms and the aunties and the uncles. His dad's a single dad, great single dad. And so we provided that for them. And that's the kind of stuff I want to tell you about who these kids are. This young lady here, not quite sure what all of the issues are, but she's in a group home. And so one of the things that we make sure is that we assist them, we acknowledge them, we pick them up, we make sure they're there for activities. And we're hoping that there's some unification that will take place between she and her mom and being back home. But she's gotten into a lot of trouble. But she knows we're there for her, and she comes. I mean, she just drops in. She calls me auntie, and she just comes running when she sees me. Hey, auntie. And so, we're always like, hey, how you doing? How's school? Ironically, this young lady makes straight A's in her class. So, you don't know what's going on with the kids. So you have to provide that loving, safe environment for them. This young lady, which you can't really see her face, which I'm glad because I want to tell you about her. This young lady is 14 or 15 now, and she was born HIV positive. And her grandmother was raising her. And the grandmother died a couple of years ago. And so now she has an older sister that's raising her. Well, we keep in regular contact with her and with the other young lady I was talking about. And now with COVID being in place, we do a lot of texting. We're getting ready to start a group conversation like we do our Friday night hangouts. We'll do it online. They do Facebooking and Instagram, so we get a chance to talk and keep up with them. This young lady, and I'm almost done here, this young lady is now getting ready to be 19 years old. And she's been around us since she was about 6. Her dad's a single dad. And then she ended up going into foster care. So what happened, this was around her senior year, we took her to one of the other churches and they were doing the prom dress giveaway. So we got her did the hair and the makeup. We had a family member who's a photographer. We only had to pay her $50 and she did a full photo shoot for prom and for graduation. So we made sure that this young lady did not miss a beat because of her circumstances. And she has graduated with honors from high school. And she now works full-time as a peer advocate for other kids in foster care. And she has now moved into an apartment that they have for kids who are in foster care, older kids who are in foster care. So she's living on her own, doing exceptionally well. And I just told her last week that when she finishes this program, that I'd like to fully adopt her. So we're very proud, very, very proud of her accomplishments. This young man here, his name is Chucky. So this is about the activism and assistance. Chucky has some mental health issues and has had them since he was a little boy. But we make sure we take Chucky to every game, every activity we go to, he's there. And here you'll see him with his mask on because we're promoting wearing masks. And we're working on a grant right now to be able to hire the kids to assist in getting that information out to their peers. On this day, we did a caravan for testing. And so we had a group of cars and Chucky was helping us out at the COVID testing site. So if I would say anything to you is be sure that you do this. Listen, that older group, they need to be heard. Set up a time where you're just letting them talk about whatever issue is pertinent to them, and then make sure that you've learned to speak their language. You need to know about Instagram. You need to know about Snapchat. You need to know about TikTok. And I'm trying to get them to teach me those video games. Lord have mercy. We're doing, and this is COVID related, and how do we stay in touch with them right now during COVID? So we've been doing a Facebook Live, what we call Party with a Purpose, every Friday night. And so we had in May, our local congresswoman who was with us every Friday night. This is one of the Golden State Warriors who was with us, comedian Mark Curry. And then we had these young people. And as you can see, we did a mixture of ethnicities because I'm really trying to build multicultural ministry. Here, the kids moderated the conversation. And so that's been really good. On this one, we did just for the guys, and it was called Bruh, and it's Black males having the talk. So we had a young brother come in and talk to these young brothers about the talk. You know, what happens if you get pulled over by the police? What do you do? How do you react? How do you respond? That was one of our great shows. We do it every Friday night on Facebook. You can look it up on Cheryl Ward Ministries. This was another one of ours. These two young ladies do spoken word. So we've had two shows where we've just brought on spoken word artists or the kids out of our group who do spoken word and allow them to do it. One of the things that we are getting ready to do is have a Friday night where the kids are able to do whatever they do. If they dance, they do spoken word, they sing or whatever, and we're going to do it outdoors on a platform stage. And the other thing is we're trying to fit in 2 movie nights where they come like a drive-in theater. We set up movie screen, outdoor movie screen, and they watch a movie. And so we're really pushing social distancing and mask wearing and things like that. And we have them helping with the planning. So again, it's that keeping in touch and acknowledging and assisting. So you say, okay, Reverend Cheryl, but how do you do it money-wise? Well, fundraising, and then a line item in the church annual budget. And I'm going to tell you right here, this is really important. You got to think outside the box. I'm not talking about cupcake sales and candy sales and all that. I'm talking about money that will sustain a ministry. So you want to write some letters, have the kids write some letters to some local business owners asking, would they help sponsor the ministry? You want to have some events that will raise some money, like right now, you'd have to do it online, but this is not that it can't be done, but have an online musical and have people donating, things like that. People don't mind doing the Cash App online, all of those kinds of things. Have an online event where the kids are showcasing their talents and have the people give. This is a big piece. You want to write for some grants, and even your city, your local city will sponsor events for young people. Another way sustaining fundraising is get on Amazon Smile and encourage people to use Amazon Smile. So when they order on Amazon, your organization gets a portion of it. There's a thing called franchise donations. So I was at Panda Express the other day, and because there's a coin shortage in the US, because so many businesses have been closed, the Treasury is not giving out that many coins. So there's a coin shortage. So what they did at Panda Express, when I paid for my meal, they said, would you like to donate the 87 cents, because we don't have a lot of change, would you like to donate that 87 cents to Children's Hospital? So if you can get a franchise owner to do the same thing for your work with youth, that's a great way to raise some money. And then I was talking to you about sponsors. See about getting some monthly sponsors, some annual sponsors. The local mortuaries don't mind supporting youth ministry. We have one here that supports us 2 or 3 times a year. Individuals, where they can give online, if sustain givers. So if you're going to say, would you give to our youth ministry $20 a month, and you have that on there, and have some incentive prizes and gifts for those who are your sustain givers. Here, line item in the church annual budget, the church has got to invest in youth ministry. You need a full-time youth pastor. If you can't do full-time, you need a half-time. You need somebody that's committed to the work of building youth ministry. And that person needs a program assistant. And then this person needs to build a team of volunteers. You need supplies. You need money for travel, if that's to a church conference or if it's to events or whatever. And you got to have a serious budget for food. So the budget stuff is really important. This is the acknowledgement piece. That young man I was telling you who lost his mother at 7, he's getting baptized here. See, this is what I mean, and it's lifestyle evangelism. So what happens was he got involved, and then all of a sudden he comes one day and he says, I want to be baptized. And so then he went through the class about baptism and about salvation, and this is him getting baptized here. That's our kids we showed you before in class. And so what I'm saying to you is, if you do the acknowledgement, if you do the academics, if you do the activism, if you do the activity, that is the witness that will then draw them in to Christ. If you do just mercy, and if you walk humbly before your God, as the movie Field of Dreams, if you build, they will come. This is a young man saying his prayers, and his mother got a picture of it. So do the work, and they will receive the word.